Hey friends, welcome back to Cozy with Calinnah, where I dive into my journey as an independent artist, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. I also connect with creatives who are multi hyphenates, dreamers, and doers. Don't forget to watch a new episode every Thursday. My next guest is an amazing drummer whose style fuses indie, jazz, and hip hop in a very unique way. He's played with artists such as from Indian Lakes, Claudia Bonet, Saint Panther, Choppies, Eden, and has even been a part of the original Calinnah band. Whether he's on tour or in the studio, his rhythms always hit different. Welcome to the podcast, Christian Orozco.
Thank you for having me, Calinnah.
Yay!
That was fire.
That was yeah. I had to practice that one a lot. Yeah.
You're good.
Like right before here. All right. Thank you for being part of the podcast. You were part of the original Calinnah band. So grateful because I had never played with a band before. So thank you for being here today.
Of course, that was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I hit you guys with a lot of dancing and like a lot of repetition over and over and over again. I don't know if
I
I
thought,
drove you guys crazy or not.
no, I thought that was
No?
cool because I've never done anything like that personally, where we're doing hits with the choreography and
Right.
putting the dancers and obviously yourself first, and then like the music, just kind of making sure that the music is tight enough for you all to land on your cues, which was a good challenge for all of
Right.
us.
Yeah, and I feel like, maybe not a lot of people do that where they like change the version of the, how we're playing with the track and then changing it for like little moments, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
we worked very close with the choreographer, Austin. Shout out Austin. And just like with the dancers, I feel like it was just a lot. Also for me, like a
Yeah.
challenge to like, well, I used to dance, which was okay, but then adding like a live band plus choreography and plus like singing also at the same time was like a big struggle. So appreciate you guys for like sticking it out.
No, yeah, I think we all appreciated you for all your like hard work and crazy ethic that you had with and dedication to like the craft that you were doing and putting on these cool shows. You put on like a mini pop concert, which is sick.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. Honestly, I was just trying to have fun and like. I feel like every show I had like a vision of just like, okay, I want this now, and I want like, for the our very first show at Gray, Vanessa had asked me to do that show, and I had never like I didn't even have songs ready for that show. Like it was all made for that. We just like kind of banged out some songs because I only had maybe like three at the time, and then like she told me how long our set was, and I was like, this is not enough. This is not enough music.
Yeah.
This is not enough music. So yeah, it was a cool experience. So, but
That was a good show.
yeah, that was a really good show.
Yeah.
I was super nervous, super nervous.
But I think that's a good thing though, to be nervous before every show.
Yeah,
It's natural.
yeah.
Yeah.
My one of my friends, Fati, if you're listening, she said, the nervousness is the same feeling as excitement. And I was like, okay, I gotta remember that shit because I had so many, like, I think I almost kind of blacked out until like the third song. Like, I did not know what was going on. Thank God we practiced that many times because it was just more like muscle memory at that point. So that helped. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely still to this day feel like I'm gonna pass out before I play a show. Like,
Really?
yeah, like I'm
You
not
still
kidding.
get
I get
nervous?
nervous. I feel like I'm legit gonna pass out halfway through the set. Like I'm just like, this is it. I'm gonna like faint right now, but it never happens. So I like once
Wow,
I like
okay.
learned how to rewire my brain thinking into that, because it would get like pretty like nerve wracking sometimes where I'm like, whoa, I don't feel too good, but it was just the nerves, and it's a good thing to have nerves. That means that you care for what you're doing. You know?
Right, right. If
Yeah.
you were just so confident, I feel like if you were too confident and then you fucked up, you probably would. I don't know. I feel like it would be a different thing than like I think when you're nervous, you're like, okay, let's go to the next thing. Even if I fucked up, like whatever, who cares? Like, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I've feel that way, but I've definitely learned and like have read this this Questlove book called Creative Quest where he talks about like the creative process, and this like little term that he used called micro meditation kind of really stuck with me. And I don't know if I'm gonna butcher it or not, but from what I understood from that was that micro meditation is just like the act of being present, but also thinking of your next move at the same time. Does that make sense?
Mm. Okay, being present, but also thinking. Yes,
Yeah. So
yes, yes.
so that's the way I look at when it comes to like playing shows. Before a gig, just like you're here, but at the same time be cautious of the next song. Be aware of what the BPM is gonna be for the next track. Make sure everybody's on cue. Make sure all the dancers are prepped and ready. Make sure
Mm.
the singer's ready to go before you can even count everybody in.
So you have to be super aware then, because you're the one basically holding the song, right? I feel like because you're the BPM, right, of the song. Like,
Essentially, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's a lot of awareness, and I think with a lot of that self awareness of like, holy shit, like the rest of the band is kind of dependent on me. That kind of brings the nervousness,
Oh,
but at
okay.
the same time, that brings the excitement. So it's just like one big hodgepodge of emotions,
Right,
in the
right.
most positive way ever. Yeah, yeah,
Totally,
yeah.
totally. And so how did you get into drums? Like, did you start off as a kid playing drums? Have you been playing drums for a long time?
I feel like I started off like every normal teenager would probably like when they were picking up their instruments, like I would say 11 or 12. But I think it like goes way before that. Like according to like my aunts and like my uncles and stuff, like I would go to like pawn shops in like downtown Santa Ana where I'm from, and like get behind the drum set and like just bang on it. And like when my uncle, when I was like 9 or 10, he got his like first turntable. Like I would get behind and I would try to scratch. I was learning how to scratch at one point for a little bit.
Wow.
Um, and then same uncle would give me like CDs around that time. He'd be like, "Oh, dude, like you got to check this out. It's Wu Tang Clan, and like check this out. It's like Dr. Dre, Corrupt." And then he'll be like,
Mm.
"Check this out." And then it'll be like Rage Against the Machine and like Guns N' Roses and just like very eclectic styles of music. And then I think what really made me fall in love with the drums when I was like again 11, 12, I saw Dave Grohl from Nirvana play. Like that
Like
Nirvana,
like live?
not live.
Oh.
I was at home
Oh, wow.
watching I think it was Smells Like Teen Spirit or something
Oh,
like that, the music
wow.
video, and I was like, damn, that looks pretty sick. I want to do that.
That's sick.
And then my parents saw that, and then like I think just months were going by, they saw like my obsession growing. I would just start having pictures of drum sets on my folder at school. I would just start playing the pencils on the desk or whatever. And then my dad's all like, "All right, I think you're ready for your first drum lesson." And then I kind of never
Wow.
looked back since. Yeah,
Wow. And then did you have a drum set at home? That must have been loud.
it was loud, a lot of. I think to this day my neighbors hate my family because I'm not kidding you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it was loud. Yeah, I got a drum set when I was I think 12 or 13, so like I was about a year into like playing music and knowing what like building the craft of music. Parents got me a drum set, put it in my room, would play it every day. Just would get lessons once a week, learn songs, the whole nine. Started my first band with my friends in 8th grade. Played a bunch of like
Wow.
System of a Down covers.
Okay.
We sounded like shit, but it was still cool. But yeah, and then
And did you come from a musical family, or do you have siblings? I
yeah,
never
I
knew
have
this.
two sisters. No, no, none of our family were very musically inclined. I think I'm like the only one that actually took that step, but they love music. Like my sister would
Ah,
listen to a bunch of like 90s hip hop, like that was the time we grew up at.
yes.
And then so I would cop some music from her too, and I would just obviously be like on Power 106 like making my own little burnt CDs or whatever. Um
Loved those burnt CDs.
yeah,
I remember
exactly.
that was like your playlist that you would give to friends or like someone you liked.
Yeah, big time. And then
Yeah.
then my homie like again, I was into like I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop and rap. So then my homie like introduced me to like rock. He gave me my first ever like Rancid CD with like all the best stuff of Rancid, and then like he like also gave me a bunch of like music from the Deftones and like Linkin Park and all that stuff. So that's how I started
Sick.
getting into rock too. But yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I feel like you have to also have a background of many. You have to listen to a lot of different music as a musician because, I mean, I'm sure you've been in a ton of bands ever since you were a kid. I mean, if you started at 8,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, I guess I was listening to a lot of music in middle school, like very eclectic. Um, Even to the point where like people would make fun of me for it because they like would see me wearing like Jordans, and then I was listening to like Linkin Park,
Right,
and
right,
then they'd be
right.
like, "Dude, you're a poser, man.
Ah,
You can't like, yeah,
faker.
you're a faker. You can't like wear Jordans and listen to Linkin Park." And I'm
Right.
just like, "What the fuck, dude?" And like, or that
Yeah.
people would make fun of me because I would have like a Deftones patch, and
Uh-huh.
like they'd be like, "Dude, you like the Deftones? They're like soft." I'm like, "No, they're like one of the best bands ever." And
Right.
then they'll be like, "No, dude, Slayer's one of the best bands ever." I was like, "They're good too, but I like Deftones and I like
Right.
Metallica too, you know?" So it was just a bunch of that. I always knew like my music taste was kind of different, which is cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
And did you play any other instruments or was it always just drums?
It's always been drums, but I do like produce beats on Ableton, like just
Hey,
as,
Ableton.
yeah, and just as like a fun thing. And I do practice the piano. This year I started taking some guitar lessons, not enough to like show my friends and start playing, but just stuff like that. You know, like I'm definitely more open minded about it now. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a lot of guitars up in here, but I'm not I mean, there a lot of them are my dad's cuz
yeah,
he was like a guitar player and could like, do all the fancy stuff
yeah.
and I was always kind of intimidated. I like know a few chords, but like, I played piano. I don't know if I ever
No, I don't think you ever
Yeah, I
told me.
played piano for a minute, a little bit of guitar, just basic chords. So, yeah, I think like anybody has kind of dabbled if they've
Yeah, I like
been
I
in
can
music.
play piano not well, but enough to like play a major, like a C major, C minor, you know, D major, D minor, and kind of start figuring out like certain melodies of certain songs and like play like the most basic melody and like,
Right.
you know, make music out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like primarily the drums is like obviously like my choice of instrument.
Your bread and
Yeah,
butter.
my bread and butter, and I just like love learning it, dissecting it, just seeing what kind of cool rhythms I can come up with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And when did you know that music was more than just a hobby? Was there a turning point for you?
Yeah, there was. I was just like, you know, kind of going through life in middle school, just playing drums, obviously, being in bands. And then I joined marching band in high school and jazz band and drumline. And we were pretty good from what I remember from the drumline. We would like win awards and stuff. Like our football team like sucked, no offense. But
Wait, what high school did you said high school?
yeah,
What high school did
I
you go
went to
to?
Century in Santa Ana.
Century and San. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cool.
Around that time, like our football team was really bad. Again, no offense if any of the homies that play football are watching this. So like the drum line would kind of took over when it came to like trophies. So, like we would bring a lot of like trophies and awards. And we'd go to like
Mm,
Vegas to compete, and we'd go to like Palm Springs to compete.
wow.
And then that's when I kind of knew I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. Like I started learning like discipline through that program. It was very like, have you seen that movie Whiplash? It
Yes.
was like that.
It was really like, yeah. Sometimes I wonder, like, if these films, like, because sometimes I'd be watching
Yeah.
dance videos, and I'm like, that's kind of intense.
No,
Or like, it was like
it was
legit,
legit
like
that. Like
Whiplash.
I
Like
dipped
you're,
out like junior year of high school from that
you
program.
dipped
But
out.
yeah, yeah, because I was just like I was just playing in other bands at that time. You know,
Oh,
but I think that what I'm just trying to say is that program really taught me the discipline of then like just being disciplined to your instrument and taking it more seriously. So now like in hindsight, I was a little troublemaker in that program too. But looking back, I'm
mm,
just like I definitely grew from that those 2 years there.
yeah.
You know, but again, I think I started taking it more seriously when I like met Temo. I met Temo in high school.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
Choppies.
know
You didn't know that?
this.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not
So
know
I
this.
met Temo in high school. He was a senior and I was a sophomore. and I think his old band was trying out a new drummer, and then like I hit him up on I hit him up on I hate telling the story, but he probably gets a kick out of it. I hit him up on AIM on AOL Instant Messenger.
What was your screen name though?
Oh man, I can't say it. No, I don't want to
Ah, you
say
can't
it.
say it.
No.
Mine was P Nice Smiles. That's so cheesy.
Yeah, nah. Um, I hit him up and I'm like through the grapevine, I'm just like, yo, dude, like I heard your band's like looking for a drummer. He's probably like, dude, who the hell is this? And I'm just like, yo, like let's connect. You know, I'm in Santa Ana. And then he comes over to my garage. Him and his cousin who are in the band come over to my garage, and then we played their set or whatever it was. It went well. And then I think they just started leaving their equipment there, and then we just started meeting up Sunday on like every Sunday for years, and then we just write music, and we would play a
Wow.
bunch of shows and whatnot. And then yeah, that's when I kind of knew. I was like, yeah, this is cool. I like doing this with my
Mm.
homies and my friends, and getting to meet other friends who I still talk to this day. That was very like assuring of like I think I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so how did you start? So and then just through that you started meeting for more people. Like how did you start working with these artists?
Oh, yeah. So again, I was in a band for quite some time, and then we all kind of went our separate ways because we all kind of like did the whole college thing for a little bit. Obviously, you got
Life.
yeah, life happened. But at that same time, I was just more curious with getting better at the drums. You know, I was like already 19, 20. So even in college, sometimes I would just like ditch class to go play drums. You know, so like so unnecessary to do nowadays. But
Right. Clearly you loved it.
yeah,
I
clearly I
mean,
loved
you
it.
were ditching school
I was
for the
ditching
music.
school for music, folks. All right.
Right.
Don't do that. I don't recommend it. All right. But yeah, you know, and then slowly I would just kind of made my way to like LA. Like I would just always knew like LA was like kind of the quote unquote destination where it was at. So I would try to make it a habit to go there all the time, even though I live in Santa Ana, and I still do that till this day. So like I would just find out like through Facebook, you know, that's when like Facebook started popping out. Like I would just have homies being like, "Yo, this band's auditioning a drummer. You should hit them up." And then I would just start getting like some auditions, like by then. Like I auditioned for this like metal band when I was like 21, and I totally like blew it. But like the guitarist, like he's all like, "Yo, I got to get you on my next project though." The next project never
Mm.
happened, but it was still kind of cool in the front, and like reassuring that oh, okay, this guy, like I made, you know, like a connection through this audition. And
Right.
that's how I just see it now. Like I'm just like, okay, it's cool to fail. It's cool to like it's cool to fail because you don't know who's like watching, you don't know who's seeing, you know. So they might be like, yeah, dude, you probably didn't fit with our music, but I did like your style of playing. Like, come hang out next time.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
you never know. And everybody knows everybody. I'm like starting to notice.
Yeah.
It's like a big circle but also very small community. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Like
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 y-
once you know this person, you kind of know that person, and then
yeah,
you kind of like just vibe out with that next person, and it's just like, but you got to be
right.
authentic at the same time too.
Right.
You don't want to be like, hey guys, what's up?
Of
You know?
course, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't show up to the family party now unannounced.
Exactly.
Right. And so you've played with so many incredible artists. What was one moment on stage that made you feel like, yo, I made it? Look, Ma, I made it.
Damn, I still feel like I haven't, like I'm not even there. I don't even know what
Really?
making it is yet. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like I feel like I work a 9 to 5 still. So like every time I like when I go on tours, when I play like these events, like it's a very humbling experience going back to work the next day.
Yeah.
But I have some cool like what I call timestamps and like cool moments. Like I would say like the past year for sure has been like insane, like in the best way possible. Um, the tour I just finished was really cool. Uh,
Who'd you go on tour with?
I went on tour with this band called LS Dunes. Yeah,
Oh.
the band I play with, we got to direct support that whole tour. So that whole band is like a super group. I don't know if you're really are you familiar with like the emo like post hardcore music of like the 2000s? No?
Not too familiar.
All right.
Fill me in,
So
sir.
like that band is a super group of all these like bands that I grew up listening to. So like the lead singer plays in this band called Seosin and Circus Survive and Sound of Animals Fighting. The guitarist plays in My Chemical Romance.
Okay,
Yeah. So
cool.
and then the other guitarist plays with Coheed and Cambria, and the drummer and bass player play for this band called Thursday. So it was like just pretty
Mm,
massive.
yeah.
And yeah, it was like the most professional thing I've ever done. Like just from like those dudes having tech, like a tech crew, just like um,
Production.
production, just like the way everything was kind of ran and like scheduling and everything was very like elite and just very like oh, okay, cool, this is cool, I'm heading towards the right direction kind of a vibe.
Mm.
So that was one, and then I also did like playing Boiler Room was sick. That was like
Hey,
one of my
that's
biggest
cool.
moments, and
That's a big one.
doing Audio Tree for sure. Yeah.
Wow. So in that environment, is it a little? Because it, I saw on your page, like it was. So they're like filming. It's kind of like, was it live pre-record, like pre-recorded live
It's
kind of thing?
live.
It's live.
It's live.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
sick. And like, do you feel? Is it a similar feeling when you're playing live, like for an audience versus like a closed? Because it looked like a closed
Yeah,
room,
yeah, yeah.
right? So how was is that? Does that feel different when you're playing?
It's the same. It's like it feels
Mm,
like obviously the cameras are rolling, so like those are the eyes, it's the audience, and you're just kind of it's a little bit more intimidating because there's not really a lot of room for mistakes,
right.
and you get a little bit in your head of just like, all right, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up. So
Mm,
I think it's just it's a different, it's the same but different. It's a different environment. Um, it's more intimidating for sure, but in the best way possible.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think, and then I feel like because there's certain cameras that will be like, you gotta look, or I mean, maybe not for you,
Mhm.
but I think like for our tiny desk,
Yeah.
like I had to kind of be aware of like where the camera was, because then I was like, oh, like I have to look there, like specifically
Yeah.
sometimes, for like the moment or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, and as a session drummer, how do you stay creatively inspired when you're jumping between so many different styles and artists?
I think that's what kind of keeps me inspired is just playing different styles of music and being around like different musicians is very inspiring. I'm like I love putting myself in the fire of like just going to jams and just, being around people that I've never met in my life and just for like 3 minutes for like 3 to 4 minutes just be like, all right guys, let's lock in. Let's play like
Mm.
like I'll go to Roxanne's on Monday nights, when they used to do
The
the
open
open mic and
mic,
the
yeah.
open jam,
Uh huh.
or like I would go to like LA a lot and go to those jams. Yeah, just kind of prepared me for those situations of like being with different musicians and working with different artists for sure.
I
Yeah.
feel like I want to do more of that, like putting myself out there.
Yeah,
Ah,
I
no
think
pressure.
yeah, I think everybody should do that. Like
Yeah.
I think like it's not corny, it's not like whack or anything. It's just like, hey, like you're trying to do this um like music, you're trying to make art a thing, trying to make it your livelihood. It's not um it's not bad to just go on a Tuesday night to LA or on a Monday night to LA and like try to sing in front of people. You're practicing your chops, you're practicing
Mm.
your stage presence. You're practicing. Playing with the live band. It's playing in front of an audience. It's good like work ethic to do those kind of things.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a great tip. Yeah, I definitely want to like start pushing myself more. And I think that's how you do it, right? And any kind of musician or someone who works in music has to kind of like put themselves out there. It's a lot, it kind of feels exposed. But once you get used to it, it's not, it's more comfortable feeling uncomfortable. if that makes sense.
Yeah, big time. At first, it's for sure intimidating. You're playing next to like a keyboard player that can just run circles around you musically, and then like you're playing next to a guitar player who's played with like the likes of, I don't know, a big pop star that just played Coachella or whatever. So it's just
Right.
that's definitely that imposter syndrome is definitely there.
Mm.
But once you knock that out of the table, it's anything's
Yeah,
possible.
everybody is like the same.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
we're all friends,
Yeah,
or like it's all chill. Like we're all
yeah,
people at the
yeah,
end of the day, and everybody makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect. That's point blank, period.
exactly.
Period.
Period.
So you've created sample packs for Stone's Throw and Output. How do you approach drum? How do you approach drum production differently for those kinds of projects?
The Stone's Throw one was mainly like, well, it was more like self-funded. It was just like I want to record at Stone's Throw because that was like a goal of mine. Um, it was just the homies and I. We all pitched in some money. I know the audio engineer there, and she gave me like a cool like the homie rate pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, it was just we worked on music all day that day, and then at the end, like the last hour or two, I was just like, I really want to think it's time I have like a loop pack out. So I recorded
Mm.
like I forgot how many beats, but it's just mainly like hip hop oriented in the style of like Stone's Throw music. Um, but that was pretty cool. Like that was definitely a very memorable moment. It was very like just hearing those drums. Like they have a very iconic drum sound in my opinion. So like getting to get that sound in one of those sample packs was pretty sick. And then the output that again that was just like a homie who works there kind of hit me up and they were like, hey, we need it's all like, I'm working on a reggae pack. Would you like to play drums on some of them? And I'm like, again, I'm just like, yeah, of course. I love reggae music. I love I respect that kind of music. I don't think I'm on record playing it. Let's do it. That way, like I can again show like my diversity and like my
Mm.
different influences on the drums. Yeah.
So, like, let's say someone's not asking you to be on it, but you, like, I assume you do, like, do you freestyle and then that, like, do you freestyle different types of combos, I guess? I don't know what you call them, like, to have these sample packs?
No, like there
How does
is
it normally
there is
work?
direction still.
Okay.
There's definitely direction still. Like because with the output one, we were essentially making like loops. We weren't making like just drums. I was playing with the track. So there's a whole it's like a whole
Ah.
little song, so where they could kind of put the song on Ableton or
Mm-hmm.
whatever DAW you use, and then just kind of separate the tracks and loop it, splice it up, do whatever you got to do, make a beat out of it, make a whole different creation out of it.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So it's a whole
Yeah,
collaborative.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I always thought how that works because I look at like vocal sample
yeah.
packs and I would think it's like a girl who's just like, ah,
Maybe,
and then,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then doing a bunch of different takes, I guess. But I guess direction would help, right?
yeah,
Like someone who's looking for something specific.
yeah. And for the Stones Throw one that I did, it was very on like, okay, I'm gonna give myself like certain BPM to another BPM, and just kind of play around. Or how did I do it? All right, so I started off at a slow BPM, I think like at 65, and then I would make different tracks, and then I would move it up every 5 BPM up until like I think like 100 or 110, up until I felt like where I was like, all right, people can still sample this. If it was too fast, I was
Oh.
like, people can't sample this.
So is
But
it like the same loop but like with a different BPM or
no, it's
it's
different
different
beats. It's
beats?
different
Oh,
beats
okay.
with the different BPMs.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's free, so if anybody wants it, just go on
Ah.
my Instagram or hit me up.
Hey,
Yeah.
hit them up.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to young musicians trying to carve out a sustainable path as session artists?
Be open minded, and I think just like keep being curious. Stay curious, be open minded. Um, Also say yes to if you're upcoming, just keep saying yes to work. if it pays or if it doesn't, and just be a cool vibe. Don't don't have an ego. Like leave the ego out of the door, and just be very very chill, and relax when good things happen.
Mm, that's a good one. I'm going to do some rapid fire
Okay.
questions. No pressure. In your lifetime, how many bands do you think you've been in, like total?
I think like 10 plus.
That's a lot of bands.
Yeah.
And how many bands have you had, like the most, or how many, how do I word this? Like, I feel like when I met you, you were in like a couple bands.
You met
Like,
me at a very chaotic time for
yeah,
sure.
so like, what's the most that you've had at the same time?
I think that might have been that era. That was it. I think
Oh,
that was
really?
like I was like at 6, 7 projects. It was pretty insane. Yeah.
Sheesh. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And then like also playing live. And I remember because then you'd be like, oh, I have rehearsal tomorrow, like
Yeah.
for another band. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay. And what is a non music hobby that keeps you grounded? Do you have any other hobbies other than music?
I do. Um, I like, but it's a hobby, so I haven't done it in a while. But I would catch myself doing this every time I would get burnt out with music. I like photography a lot.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I never knew
yeah. So like I
this.
took photography class in high school, and I like it. And then I got a camera. I would take pictures. I've on Instagram. I was on it for a while, like taking pictures for a while, and I just kind of stopped. But that's something I definitely want to get back into. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think it's good to. I also took a class in high
nice.
school, and I loved photography after that too. Like the old school where you have to
Yeah,
develop
yeah,
the film, and then you go in the red room and all that stuff,
yeah,
and it's just a cool process, and
yeah,
just like finding beauty in things.
yeah. I would do it digitally, but I would put it on like a Lightroom and just kind of edit. I think like editing for some reason, photos would just relax me. I could just spend hours just editing a photo. It was pretty
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
cool. And what is your pre-tour ritual, and how do you prepare mentally and physically? You've been on a lot of tours.
My pre-tour ritual. I try to exercise a lot.
That's a good
Um,
one. Health is wealth.
yeah, I try to like run a few miles every day, get a lot of sleep. So like I just try to get like my 8 hours of sleep.
Dang, you
Um,
get 8 hours of
yeah,
sleep? Whew, I need to do that.
I don't smoke, I don't drink. I'm pretty much a hermit now that when I'm not touring or playing shows. Um, but yeah, there's like I don't think there's I guess that's a ritual, but yeah, just try to like not try to be present when I'm on tour and try to be present when I'm not on tour or if I'm gonna be heading out in a few days. I like to just kind of hang out, chill, hang out with my family, my wife, my friends, and just kind of lay low and kind of embrace that before getting on the road.
Wow,
Yeah.
because then you'll be gone for what, like couple weeks sometimes.
Yeah, I
What's
think
the longest tour you've had?
the longest one we did was like a few months ago. That was 7 weeks. Yeah, like a good chunk of time. Yeah.
Wow, seven
Yeah.
weeks. That
Like
is a
seven,
while.
8 weeks, yeah. Yeah, it was almost two
Dang.
months, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you prepare before you're on stage? Are there any things that you have? Because I feel like when we would perform, I'm already like
Yeah.
in my own fucking
Yeah.
zone. So I never really paid attention, but now I'm curious.
Yeah, we like what I guess it just depends on the artist that I'm with, but like the band that I've been touring with, we just kind of have like a very mellow vibe. Like we'll do our sound check, then we'll get some food or whatever, just hang out, and then just be backstage, kind of zen, like super chill, just relax. I'll like kind of
Mm,
get a practice pad, get out of the green room, just so I won't disrupt the sound. The drums, the sound of the practice pad. I'll kind of find like a little spot in the corner, and I'll just start practicing. Um, yeah, for like a few minutes, and then just stretching. Getting older, stretching is important.
hell yeah.
Yeah, and then drinking water, and then just going at it with the best positive attitude you can. Yeah.
I like that, like relaxing, because I'd be freaking out, and I'm like, how do I relax when well, I guess it's like the nerves, right? Like
Yeah.
like I get nervous before every show still, but it's been better. Like
Yeah.
From the first one,
Yeah,
definitely like
yeah,
a little less.
yeah. I don't get that either with I try to be very calm, but I definitely sometimes when I'm playing like different shows with like different artists, I could definitely see myself getting nervous, and you gotta like kind of talk to yourself and be like, "Yo, snap out of this."
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
this.
you
Kind of
got
like
this.
self
Yeah,
talk, a
yeah,
lot of the self talk.
yeah.
Good advice. And lastly, what was the first concert you ever went to?
My first concert, it actually ties back to the tour I just did. It was My Chemical Romance. Yeah, so
Wow.
that last show of that tour, it was My Chemical Romance at the Best Buy at Orange.
The Best Buy.
Yeah, they like played in a parking lot promoting Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, and
Hmm.
they played the Donnas opened up for them, and like everybody that I know, I'm not kidding you, was literally at that concert.
Wow.
Like yeah, we were just talking about that with a couple of homies. Like they were like, "Oh, you were at that show? Yeah, I was at that show. I remember that show. That show was sick." Yeah, so that was my first ever concert, and then it was actually a pretty like full circle moment because I was on tour with one of the guitar players for like a full month and just super chill vibes, and I was just being chill, you know. And then on that last day, like literally the last moment before we said goodbye, you know, the show's done, tour's done. I just like go up to him. I'm like, give him a hug. I'm like, yo, dude, just letting you know you were my first concert. Like, My Chemical Romance was my first concert ever.
Wow.
He's like, really? Where? I was like, Best Buy. He's like, fuck, I remember that show.
Oh
I was
my
like, yeah, dude, it was so sick.
God.
He's like, hell yeah, man. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So that was cool. Yeah,
We love a good full circle
yeah,
moment.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Christian, for being on this podcast. I learned a little bit
Yeet.
more about you. Oh, my cards. I
Uh
learned a little bit more about you today. Anything you want to promote?
oh. Mm,
Where can people find you?
socials. On my Instagram. Underscore Christian Orozco underscore. I don't have anything to promote at the moment. I'm laying low and I'm kind of enjoying it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, yeah.
yeah,
We love resting
yeah, definitely.
and stretching.
And stretching.
Yes.
Yeah,
Don't forget to stretch. But when you have something to promote, then you can find him on
yeah,
his handles.
yeah.
So,
I'm not scared to post, so you'll
yeah.
definitely hear about
Yes.
it.
All right, friends. Hope you enjoyed that last episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and hit that notification bell so you can see more episodes. And I will see you next Thursday on the next Sing With Me. Cozy with
Calinnah.
Calinnah. Hey.
Yo,
Bye.
toodles.
Toodles.